On NTA Nation. My name is Abuja. President Muhammadu Buhari is in Katsina State on a two-day official visit to condole with government and people of the state on the recent windstorm. The president on the sideline had closed-door bilateral talk with visiting Togolese President Faure Eyadema at the Presidential Lodge, Katsina. More on the visit in our subsequent bulletins. Nigeria has presented its progress report on the fight against corruption to the 33rd Executive Council of the African Union holding in Nouakchott, Mauritania. Minister of Foreign Affairs Geoffrey Onyama, who addressed the council, says President Muhammadu Buhari remains committed to ensuring that the fight against corruption is entrenched on the continent. Foreign Desk Correspondent Makut Simon Macham reports.
This meeting are some key issues that have been discussed previously but require conclusion of further deliberations. This include the involvement of new funding mechanism for the African Union, which will steer it away from donor dependence. Others are tackling the plight of refugees, containing disease outbreaks on the continent, mopping up small and light weapons, as well as general enhancement of security. Nigeria's Foreign Affairs Minister Geoffrey Onyama attended the Executive Council all through Thursday, pushing Nigeria's interests at all fronts, including some elections into some international organizations.
I gave a presentation on what Nigeria has been doing in the framework of Mr. President's championship of the anti-corruption agenda. And, you know, it was quite a detailed report and very well received by all the members of the council.
Meanwhile, the Minister of Foreign Affairs Geoffrey Onyema has met his Sierra Leonean counterpart for a bilateral meeting where he disclosed that Nigeria is supporting Sierra Leone in some key areas, including education, health, as well as oil and gas. Now, the issues being discussed here at the 31st African Union Summit in Nouakchott, Mauritania, are not particularly new to Africa. Some of these issues, such as trade, fight against corruption, the war against terrorism, and of course peace and security, among others, have been on the cards for a while. This is why experts believe that discussions here should be such that concrete decisions are taken such that the trajectory of development on the continent will change for the good. In Nouakchott, Mauritania, I am Makut Simon Macham, NTA News.
About 1,000 Nigerian villages will benefit from the Chinese government project to provide access to satellite TV for 10,000 African villages. This is part of China-Africa cooperation to enhance digital TV switchover in Africa. Musbahu Dan Wahab reports from the 8th African Digital TV Development Seminar holding in Beijing, China, under the theme Universalize Digital TV and Enjoy Smart Life.
Another forum presents itself in this seminar for StarTimes and its African partners to discuss the challenges and prospects of African digital TV development. Very significantly, most countries on the continent missed the ITU deadline for digital switchover in 2015. Again, targeting 2020, the continent is still grappling with challenges of technology, necessary policies, and other structural bases for TV digitization.
China will build 5 cultural centers in Africa.
President Xi Jinping of China promised in Johannesburg in 2015 to assist African countries in their TV digitization quest as part of a China-Africa cooperation plan. StarTimes, the implementing agency of the project, has also presented itself forth as a partner towards achieving full TV digitization switchover on the continent.
This will benefit the rural population in Africa to enrich their cultural life. It is also a one step further for our people-to-people cooperation exchange. This means that we are entering a new stage of television, radio, and TV cooperation. We want to achieve the digitalization of television in Africa as soon as possible so that we will have a bright future.
The Star Times Group's president, Pachin Chin, and other speakers say for Africa to attain the targets, individual countries' efforts must be genuine and all-inclusive with right policies and financial commitment.
Many years ago, Africa was not able to get on the train of industrial revolution. But today, let's not miss this new train of digitalization or the new economy train.
We had to invest a lot of money into creating awareness to the consumers.
We are on course. There has been a very deliberate effort on the part of the NBC and the DG team, to move the digitization process forward, and we have moved forward. And by the end of this year, Nigeria would have been surely, moved faster along the digital train.
China's journey through digitization process as a lesson for Africa, media economy, as well as latest technology trend in the TV industry were among the issues also discussed. From Beijing, China, Musbao and Wahab, NTA News.
Small and medium-scale enterprises in Nigeria have received 296 million euro through the European Investment Bank in 8 years. The EU ambassador to Nigeria and head of delegation to ECOWAS, Ketil Carlson, said the bank has also invested 87 million euro in private sector economy, making Nigeria the highest beneficiary in Africa. Basi Etaiban reports.
Of EU partners in Abuja, Nigeria, to review their development programs in the country. The EU ambassador is full of praises for the federal government for creating the enabling environment for foreign investors to invest in the country.
But fundamentally, the EIB is about providing opportunities for job creation, for investing in the many initiatives in Nigeria that create the potential of a better future. So for the European Union, this is a very valuable add-on to the already existing collaboration that we have in Nigeria.
The Minister of State Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, says activities of the PIB has produced significant progress as it has revolutionized the country's industrial hub.
The bank's recent commitment to make available between 800 million to 1 billion for public sector investments demonstrates further the growing ties between EU and Nigeria, and also the confidence that the bank has in the Nigerian economy.
EU partners promise to continue to invest in the country, which they described as a land with brighter hopes. That's Itaiban, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari has expressed shock and sorrow over the fire incidents in Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, which claimed many lives. The president said this in reaction to the tragic loss of lives, tanks of vehicles, property and other valuables in the petrol tanker fire. The president, however, urged the emergency services and law enforcement officials to do their best to limit the loss and damage from the incident. The president expressed his deepest condolences to the government and people of Lagos on the tragedy. Let's now go over to Lagos for an update on the tanker tragedy and other reports. Jennifer is our guide.
Thank you, Kene. Welcome to Lagos. Normal flow of traffic returned to the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway today after the tragic incident of yesterday, which claimed 9 lives. The National Emergency Management Agency told the media in Lagos that it cleared the wreckage of the 54 vehicles burned in the inferno from the road. Dr. Ogunyemi will bring details in a subsequent bulletin. The 81 Division of the Nigerian Army has ended a 4-day operations planning cadre for military and paramilitary officers in Lagos. At the closing ceremony, the General Officer commanding 81 Division, Major General Enobong Odo, urged participants to make judicious use of the knowledge acquired. Paul Omokago has details.
The 81 Division Operations Planning Cadre 2018, an initiative of the Army Headquarters, seeks to encourage a robust and seamless synergy among military, paramilitary, and other security agencies in the country. General Officer Commanding 81 Division, Major General Enebong Udo, says he expects remarkable improvement from the participants. He examined capabilities and competencies required to plan future operations.
Judging from the outcome of the group presentations made on the operations and tactical estimate process, I must admit that the objectives of the cadre, which was to revise and update participants in operational planning procedures, have been realized.
With the Army placing high premium on training targeted at having professionally responsive personnel in the discharge of constitutional roles, participants say the program was worth the while.
This study will promote inter-agency cooperation and integration of efforts.
To carry out logistics planning in military operation rather than war, how to gather information and intelligence, how to rescue, let's say, victims from IDPC camps.
54 participants from all army formations and units in the 81 Division, Police Force, Nigerian Prison Service, Federal Fire Service, Customs, and Federal Road Safety Corps took part in the training. In Lagos, Paul Omukago, NTA News.
The National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, has introduced a course online into the curriculum of primary and secondary school students. Donyi Dia reports that the project, which is in partnership with the Nigerian Education Research Development Council, is part of its sensitization against all forms of trafficking.
Director General of the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, Julie Okadonli, says with the complexity of the issues of human trafficking across the globe and precisely in the sub-Saharan Africa, it has become imperative for the agency to develop a systematic approach towards proper enlightenment of uninformed victims that are increasingly becoming vulnerable.
We are here to sensitize them to be sure they have a clear knowledge and understanding of the subjects they are about to publish.
The projects, which identified 4 career subjects, include English language, religion, civic and social studies, physical and health education, as well as government.
We can ask, part of the exercise, to ask the child to write on evils of human trafficking. By so doing, he's learning English on how to write an essay and at the same time getting about human trafficking.
Not just to read it out because it's there, but to impact knowledge on these children.
The collaboration between the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, and the Nigerian Education Research and Development Council towards infusing the topic into school curriculum is to empower young Nigerians with the necessary knowledge that will protect them and their loved ones from the lure of human traffickers. In Lagos, Donyi Dia, NTA News.
Strengthening cultural integration and consolidating on the nation's democratic experience have been identified as 2 of the several pathways to economic transformation. This forms the celebration of an event to herald the celebration of Independence Anniversary of the United States of America at the Consulate in Lagos. Michael Olaleye reports.
Can you see by the dawn's
This American national anthem, which hails the unity of the country 242 years after formation, expresses the spectrum of opportunity the United States will continue to extend to the world. The Consul General, who reflected on the various interventions of the United States at entrenching global peace, lauded the tremendous contributions of heroes who made the journey historic.
And an event like this is only possible with the hard work and support of many.
The United States ambassador to Nigeria pointed out that developing countries like Nigeria can translate present socio-economic challenges into prosperity if notable individuals play the progressive role of mentoring.
450,000 young men and women a year do their National Youth Service. So if each one of those men and women of the last 5 years became a mentor, we'd be a quarter of a way to 10 million mentors.
The United States of America has continued to evolve into a nation that is a global standard bearer.
The need for the country to adopt some of the principles of the American experience was emphasized.
We have to be passionate about salvaging our country. The committee, we have no other country except this one.
The event, attended by traditional and religious leaders, is a prelude to the celebration of Americans' independence on July 4. In Lagos, Michael Olaleye, NTA News.
Now those are the top stories from Lagos. Others are. Back to Kene in Abuja for more on Nationwide. Kene, over to you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Nationwide will continue shortly after this break. Please stay tuned.
Is not a joke. It incites genocide and crimes against humanity. Most of Africa's civil wars are caused by hate speech from one tribe against another. We don't want it here. The Nigerian government stands firm against hate speech.
Under no conditions whatsoever should we tolerate or excuse or justify hate speech or hateful conduct of any kind, especially where such is illegal.
There's no doubt that the resurgent push for separatism, as well as the rising cases of ethnic and religious disharmony, are all traceable to the growing phenomenon of hate speech.
One nation bound in freedom, peace and unity.
Nigeria, one nation, one people.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
When you think about hospitality and affordable luxury away from home, then you talk about Sharon Ultimate Hotels, a secured and serene environment that offers kingly services such as 24-hour room service, impeccable security with CCTV surveillance, parking lots, free Wi-Fi internet service, free complimentary breakfast, restaurants that offers continental and local dishes, well-equipped fitness center with instructors, swimming pool, 350 capacity multi-purpose hall, laundry service, pastry corner, mini mart, and our suites are breathtaking. For reservation, locate us at plot 1710 Tafawa Balewa Way, Area 3, Garikia, Abuja. Sharon Ultimate Hotels, the ultimate place.
When you hear that sound, you know that Nigeria's most authentic newscast is about to begin. NTA Network News, breaking the news for over 40 years.
Welcome back. Nigeria Optometric Association is seeking ways to tackling the challenges of vision loss in the country, as well as making its services accessible and affordable. This was part of resolutions reached at the association's 42nd annual general meeting and conference in Abuja. Comfort Ahmodu has details.
53-year-old Akin Ogundeji is a printer and father of three. 3 years ago, he had an accident which affected his face and vision. That explains why this free eye check and donation of glasses with drugs is coming at the right time for him and other beneficiaries.
They carry out some tests and I was being given an eyeglass for reading and some eye drop and drops.
Several residents in Galadimawa village in Abuja applauded the gesture.
They have done my eye test and I can see the exercise is very commendable.
The women wing of the Nigerian Optometric Association spearheaded the exercise ahead of this year's conference of optometrists.
You might not know that you have any eye problem and you're gradually going blind. Take for instance the case of glaucoma. Glaucoma is symptomless. You don't feel anything until you start losing your vision. So we always say check your eyes every year. If you do check your eyes every year, the doctors will be able to see what is going on at the back of your eye and prefer a solution.
Optometrists from across Nigeria converge on the International Conference Center Abuja to chart a new course in dispensing eye care services with best global practices.
Our mission of reducing affordable blindness is very minimum by making quality and affordable eye care accessible to the public, utilizing reliable and efficient professional skills is being diligently pursued.
Nigerian's Minister for Health, Professor Isaac Adewale, represented, expressed the readiness of the ministry to partner with a relevant body in taking healthcare service delivery in Nigeria to the desired level.
As you may be aware, our goal in the health sector is to improve health outcomes.
Other speakers advocated early consultation of eye care professionals to avoid vision loss among the citizenry.
And still talking eye care, hundreds benefit free eye care in Benin. Phil in Benin Network Center has our next set of reports. Hello, Phil.
Welcome to Benin. Most cases of blindness are preventable if only sufferers seek medical attention in time. This was re-echoed as over 100 indigent people of Abuja community in Orionwo local government area of Edo State benefited from free eye treatment courtesy the T.Y. Danjuma Foundation. Agatha Egwaroju has the report.
President General Theophilus Danjuma has the mandate to enhance the quality of life of the poor by supporting initiatives that improve access to health and educational opportunities. A good number of people in Abuja community with different eye problems turned out for the exercise. While surgery was done in most of the cases presented, eyeglasses and drugs were given to other patients.
I was having growth in my eyes. I was not having the fund. So when I heard about these people, I came here.
As you are standing now, I'm seeing you clearly.
The team surgeon, however, expresses worry over inability of the locals to seek help before their eye problem worsens.
Many people are not supposed to really get blind because of some of these conditions that is making them blind.
52 cataract surgeries done and various numbers of pterygium and glasses given out to people.
They've identified certain areas where when the eye care needs are high. So Abuja falls into one of those communities.
This is not the first free medical mission in Edo. People of Eho, Olugbo and Benin City have benefited from this gesture. In Abuja, Agatha Egwaroju, NTA News.
The need to pass the disability bill into law is on the front burner as members of the Joint National Association of Persons with Disability converged on Benin City at a lobby and advocacy training on the need for the speedy passage of the bill at the federal and state levels. Ivie Omoyi reports.
According to the 2006 census in Nigeria, 3,253,169 people are battling with one form of disability or the other. This forms 2.36% of the country's total population. If NTA News attempts a survey on the prospects of people marrying persons living with disability, the answer no doubt will be in the negative. This therefore indicates that stigmatization is high. This special group of people are advocating for their rights by way of legislation.
For the past 8 years, people with disabilities in Edo State have been struggling to secure criminalization of discrimination on the grounds of disability.
There are some institutions where no matter my level of education, I cannot be taken because they will see it as unproductive.
I believe that at the end of the day, the stakeholders will have in-depth knowledge on what it takes to push for the realization of the bill.
adequate infrastructure and a disability-friendly environment is one of the major cries of these people, which a representative of the government of Edo State says will soon be made possible.
We are doing everything possible to give them the needed attention.
A concerned body, Daughters of Charity St. Vincent de Paul, is advocating lobby and advocacy for the passage of the disability bill in the states, which is before the Edo State House of Assembly. In Benin, Ivie Omoyi, NTA News.
Fume from generating sets constitute a hazard, especially when used in confined spaces. And indeed, there have been several fatalities from this practice in Benin metropolis in recent times. Agatha Egwarujo reports on the growing domestic hazard and best practices.
Sets which come in different sizes have become a household name in the country because of the importance. But this is fast turning into a curse because of the danger it poses to users. Recently, 6 persons in a house in Ego local government area of Edo State lost their lives to fume from a generating set placed in an enclosed space and was left to run without recourse to their safety. Similar incidents some time ago at separate areas in Benin City also claimed the lives of 5 persons.
At this time of whereby education is in everywhere, a man locked every entrance of his house, generator at the passage. It's too bad.
When they lock their window, they are trapped into a siege of carbon monoxide. And when carbon monoxide takes over the entire system, the lungs and heart and all of the other organs, they collapse.
These incidents have always attracted media reports, bringing into question why people continue to fall victim.
Keep the generator in a place where air can easily flow, where air can easily remove the fume, not in where you are residing where that is enclosed.
As people continue to use generators, they have been advised to adopt best practices to keep them safe. In Benin, Agatha Egwaruju, NTA News.
And that's it from Benin. Kene, it's back to you. Good afternoon.
Thank you, Phil. All past chairmen and managing directors of the Niger Delta Power Holding Company from 2005 to date are to appear at next public hearing of the House Ad Hoc Committee investigating alleged constitutional breaches, impunity and infractions in the company. Chairman of the committee, Darlington Wankwacha, at a public hearing in Abuja says this is to enable the committee establish the facts behind the alleged infractions. John Yagu has details.
Power Holding Company, which is a joint venture of the 3 tiers of government, was established in 2005. Following petitions received by the House of Representatives, the House at its plenary on the 22nd of March 2018 constituted an ad hoc committee to investigate the activities of the company. Some of the allegations include failure of the company to comply with laid-down procedures, spending without legislative approval, and imbalance in the composition of its management.
NPCC Limited should be made to furnish Argon with the copies of its Establishment Act or legal instrument, at least the last 10 years.
The 36 states of the Federation as stakeholders in the company under Nigeria Governors Forum and the Niger Delta Power Holding Company, however, asked for another date to enable them make their submissions, which the committee granted.
When they failed to do that, take up all the necessary legislative positions.
Speaker of the House of Representatives at the opening of the public hearing urged stakeholders to cooperate with the committee so as to find a lasting solution.
The trillions of naira purportedly invested into the NIPP by the federal, the 36 states and the 774 local governments have not been securitized, as only 2 billion naira is said to be registered as shares in the CAC for the 3 tiers of government.
There was a 1-minute silence in honor of victims in Plateau killings. From the National Assembly, John Yaku, NTA News.
Now, federal and state security administrators have met to prefer a solution to the lingering security challenges in the country. Rayana Bala reports that the meeting, which was held in Yola, is aimed at ensuring stability and progress of Nigeria, as well as guarantee smooth conduct of the 2019 general elections.
The The two-day meeting, which drew participants across the country, including heads of security agencies, is aimed at identifying root causes of conflicts and the way forward for a better Nigeria. The Permanent Secretary, Special Services Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Dr. Amina Shamaki, said the forum is evolving more effective strategies that could assist in tackling the menace of conflicts in view of its implications on the economy, national security, as well as the forthcoming general elections.
There is need for both politicians and the general public to learn lessons from the past and avoid overheating the polity unnecessarily.
She particularly called on states affected by farmers' hardest conflict to set up peace and security committees to mediate in resolving the crisis to avoid further loss of lives and property. Muhammad Umar Jibrila, who was represented by the Secretary to the Adamawa State Government, Umar Buwa Bindri, said the state government has since put in place mechanism that will address some of the security challenges through public traditional partnership.
That security concerns had affected the socio-political well-being of our people and had depleted financial and economic resources which could have been used for development of infrastructure in our state.
The forum also visited Lamido Fombina, Dr. Muhammadu Barkindo Aliyu Mustafa, where he stressed the need for harmonious living among different ethnic and religious groups for the development of the society. In Yola, Rayanu Bala, NTA News.
Secretary of the APC National Convention Committee, Senator Victor Ndoma Egba, says successful conduct of the event shows total commitment by party members to work towards victory for the party in the next general elections. This was at a post-convention briefing held in Abuja. Salihu Abdullahi reports.
Victor Ndoma Egba, who commended party members, says their work does not only stop at winning elections, but should mobilize support in nurturing a desirable democracy for the country. While congratulating those who have occupied new offices, he also commended those who participated in the convention with gallant disposition and for their loyalty to the party, which that in itself is a sure way towards ensuring good party politics in Nigeria.
We had a few states that had issues in court, and where there was a binding order, because we were a law-abiding party, we obeyed the court order, and in such states, only the statutory delegates that were not in dispute were allowed into the convention.
Victor Ndoma Egba, however, advised anybody aggrieved to consult with the appeals committee of the convention, as APC has always pursued internal democracy as a principle towards attaining good political culture for Nigeria.
Or we compile that report. As soon as the report is ready, you will be notified.
In the light of this, former National Organizing Secretary of APC, Osita Izunaso, has expressed his intention, just as the party asked them to do, to take his observations and complaints to the appeals committee, as according to him, the party is supreme.
Which since its birth strives to be a pace setter in transparency and due process, and a party that we are all committed to and that we are all proud of.
Osita Izunaso, who was represented by leader of the Imo State APC stakeholders, Theodore Ikechi, indicates his appreciation of party supremacy, where all members are expected to play by the rules. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi, NTA News.
It's now time to join our Port Harcourt Network Center, where Vivian is standing by with some reports. Hello, Vivian. It's over to you.
Hello, Kenneth Mabudike. Welcome to Port Harcourt. Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike says the state government will strengthen her capacity to reduce the prevalence of HIV/AIDS in the state. The governor was speaking when he played host to the Health Finance Governance Team of the United States Agency for International Development, USAID, at the Government House, Port Harcourt. Ogedinyekwe reports.
HIV/AIDS prevalence level is unacceptable and requires structure to tackle the scourge headlong in the interest of the people. The governor said an executive director will be appointed for Rivers State Agency for the Control of AIDS, RIFSACA, to drive the process, while the State Health Insurance Agency will be actualized and an enabling law put in place.
There's no need to
talk much. It's better to take steps. As anything that we have to put in place that will lead to the reduction, drastic reduction of the percentage is welcome.
Chief of Party of the United States Agency for International Development, USAID, Head Finance Governance, Dr. Gafaro Alawode, urged the state government to set up mechanisms to stem the tide of HIV/AIDS by increasing access to treatment.
Rivers State is one of the 12 states that accounts for more than 70% of the burden of HIV/AIDS in Nigeria.
Dr. Alawode had commended the governor for his investment in the health sector, noting the positive implications for economic prosperity. In Port Harcourt, Oge Dinyekwe, NTA News.
Satisfied with the efforts of the federal government in tackling poverty, beneficiaries of the Community and Social Development Projects of Federal Government and World Bank Poverty Eradication Program say there has been an improvement in the living condition of the rural poor. Clement Bariku reports that the people made this known while receiving checks in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State.
The federal government's commitment to poverty reduction is no doubt paying off, as most of the strategies are targeted at checking unemployment in the country. A tripartite partnership between the federal government, participating state government, and the World Bank is targeted at the internally displaced persons and the vulnerable in rural communities. General Manager, Akwa Ibom State Agency for Community and Social Development, Mr. Ishmael Akpan, appreciated the federal and state government as well as the World Bank for living up to their responsibility.
As soon as the grant, the vulnerable group investment was flagged up, the state agency conducted intensive community sensitization. To use this opportunity to thank the federal government of Nigeria for partnering World Bank to tackle poverty.
Checks worth 10 million naira each were presented to Akwa Ibom leprosy-infected persons and the hopeful vulnerable group.
I'm so happy to see this wonderful thing.
I don't even know how to start it because it's just like a dream.
The beneficiaries were also tutored on how best to make use of the program. In Uyo, Clement Bariku, NTA News.
The Nigerian Navy Forward Operating Base has handed over a vessel and 6 suspects arrested for alleged maritime crime and unlawful transshipment of illegally refined petroleum products through the Economic and Financial Crime Commission, EFCC. The handover, which is in line with the harmonized standard of operation for security agencies, followed the conclusion of preliminary investigation into the matter. Kingsley Amajuri reports.
The naval authorities, while parading the suspects before newsmen, said they were tracked down at about 1 a.m. April 6, 2018 in suspicious circumstances within Bonny Waterway. The suspects had reportedly switched off the vessel's navigational light at that odd hour in a bid to beat security surveillance. They, however, ran out of luck as the naval patrol team tracked the vessel, and upon investigation discovered the vessel was conveying 560 metric tons of diesel without any paper.
It is hoped that the Economic and Financial Crime Commission will further make detailed investigation and subsequently prosecute the offenders as expected.
The AFCC team, shortly after taking over the vessel and the suspects, said it will launch further investigation and prosecution. The latest handover is one in the series of recent arrests made by the Nigerian Navy to stem the tide of oil bunkering and related crimes in the region. In Port Harcourt, Kingsley Amajiri, NTA News.
That does it from Port Harcourt. It's over to Kenai in Abuja for the continuation of Nationwide. Good afternoon.
Thank you, Vivian. The Executive Secretary of the National Human Rights Commission, Tony Okechukwu Ojukwu, has urged security agencies to embrace the use of forensics as a means of getting information from suspects rather than torture, which has now become a criminal offense in the country. The Executive Secretary reiterated this during the Civil Society Organization and National Human Rights Commission dialogue on the state of human rights in Nigeria. Oyeyemi Ajayi has details.
signing of the anti-torture bill into law by President Muhammadu Buhari officially makes the use of torture as a means of extracting information from suspects a grievous offense in the country. This is in line with the United Nations Convention Against Torture, which urges countries of the world to stop the use of torture during investigations as it affects the rights of victims.
The United Nations Convention Against Torture, following the protocol, demands that every signatory to the convention should establish a machinery for the prevention of torture. On the basis of that, the Ministry of Justice established the National Committee Against Torture in 2009, and with a mandate to visit places of detention, examine complaints of torture, and make recommendations on how to reduce torture and, if possible, eliminate torture completely in Nigeria.
Giving a general overview of the state of human rights in Nigeria, speakers highlighted a series of other issues that need immediate attention from the government.
If a husband could prevent a wife to participate in the electoral process and get all her properties burnt, where do we cross the line?
As at early June 2018, it was estimated that at least 3,000 persons have lost their precious lives to these attacks on farming communities by persons suspected to be herdsmen.
The Executive Secretary of the National Human Rights Commission says the Commission is embarking on a nationwide tour to different prisons, starting from Kuje Prison, to ensure compliance and protection of human rights of inmates.
We propose a kind of a forensic way of carrying out our investigations, whereby before you arrest anybody, you've already carried out your underground investigations. So the day you arrest him, you are ready to go to court in the next 2 days.
June 26th of every year has been set aside by the United Nations as a day of solidarity with victims of torture. In Abuja, Oyeyemi Ajayi, NTA News.
In the meantime, the human rights experts have called on security agencies to imbibe the culture of using forensic investigation to extract information from suspects rather than torture. They said this while discussing the topic, torture and the human rights, on NTA's flagship program, Good Morning Nigeria. Again, Oyeyemi Ajayi has details.
2017, President Muhammadu Buhari signed into law the Anti-Torture Act 2017, which makes comprehensive provisions for penalizing the acts of torture and other cruel, inhumane and degrading treatment. As expected, that this will put an end to torture in Nigeria. But the act is still being used by these security agencies in the course of information extraction from the suspects. Experts on Good Morning Nigeria said this is a violation of the fundamental human rights of the citizens, including suspects, since they are presumed innocent until proven guilty by a law court.
There's widespread complaint about SARS officials. How many of them has been brought to justice? Even when courts give orders, even when courts give award judgments against them for torture, has there been compliance? The answer is no.
70% of the evidence you need to prosecute any offense successfully lies in the scene of the crime. And that is why we in the human rights community emphasize intelligence-led policing.
With accusing fingers pointed at the Special Anti-Robbery Squad of the Nigerian Police Force, SARS, to be the most guilty of the act of torture. Police Force PRO Jimoh Moshood highlighted some measures put in place by the police to ensure that SARS is put to check. He said the police use minimum force due to the fact that some suspects resist arrest.
We continue the exercise by ensuring that there's a human rights desk officer at each of the states who is not reporting to the commander of SARS there, but reporting to the commissioner of SARS at the first headquarters levels.
The guest agreed that there is no excuse for any law enforcement officer to resort to torture as a means of securing information from suspects, as it is punishable under the law. In Abuja, Oyeyemi Ajayi, NTA News.
It's time to pause for another break. We will be back for the rest of Nationwide.
Television College Jos admission forms for diploma program in film and television production, television engineering technology, broadcast journalism, and degree programs in mass communication, television journalism, and mass communication television production is now on sale. The sale of forms will commence 14th May and run to 13th August 2018 at the cost of 7,500 Naira only per form, payable through the remitter platform in favor of NTA Television College Jos. Forms can be obtained from all marketing offices in NTA state capital stations, zonal centers, training directorate of the NTA headquarters Abuja, and the office of the academic secretary of the NTA Television College. Applicants are required to possess 5 credits in GCE, SSCE in relevant areas of study, including English and mathematics, in not more than 2 sittings. All completed forms attached with photocopies of credentials must be submitted on or before the 13th of August 2018 to the stations where the forms were obtained. For further inquiries, please contact the office of the academic secretary on these numbers. Announcer, Registrar.
Brought us as usual.
As usual. You have no problem. You are welcome, sir.
As usual, yeah.
Welcome. You take that one. You take that one. You don't understand? We want Nigeria homegrown rice. Finish. You don't have. You don't have.
Join the rice revolution today.
No other rice that tastes like Nigerian rice. Are you sorry? That's the Nigerian rice we are talking about. Chocolate made in Nigerian rice. Healthy food. I'm going to bring Mrs. Mobu to come to chocolate rice of made in Nigeria here. And see how it are made. Correct. How they are cooking. Correct. Homegrown rice are good for your health. It will boost our economy and will give employment to our people.
This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Thanks for staying with us on Nationwide. The era of uncoordinated approach to the welfare of civil servants and scant attention to occupational health and safe work environment will soon be over. Head of Civil Service of the Federation, Winifred Oyoita, said this when she inaugurated the Technical Committee for the Development of Service Welfare Policy in Abuja. Adebola Brusklin Sunday was there.
The civil service has been described as one of the greatest assets and the most valuable resources of the nation. As such, the head of the Civil Service of the Federation said the system is expected to guarantee the welfare of employees at every stage of their career and bring about an all-round development of the workforce.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen,
to this end, a 15-man committee was constituted for improved health of employees, job satisfaction, increase in general efficiency, and ultimately national economic development.
The policy would ensure, 1, that the well-being of all employees becomes a primary concern of government and ensures consistent and continuous investment in the health and welfare of employees, which translates to investment in the efficiency and effectiveness of the civil service.
Permanent Secretary, Service Welfare Office, Wilson Didi Jack, is the chairman of the committee.
For civil servants, the FISH program is very, very uppermost in their heart. We'll be looking at housing. We'll be looking at the group life insurance scheme. We'll be looking at recreation. We'll be looking at things like sports, people with disabilities. We'll also be looking at how to relate with retired civil servants.
The committee has 3 months to complete its assignments. Adebola Brooksland Sunday, NTA News.
Now, as Nigerian workers mark the 2018 Public Service Day, the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, urges them to shun corruption and adhere to the ethics of service to the nation. Ifeanyi Ezumba tells us more.
From the old parade ground, through the city center to the office of the ICPC, aimed at sensitizing the public on the theme of the 2018 Public Service Day, combating corruption in the public service institutions through stakeholders' participation, preceded other activities to mark the 2018 celebration.
When you have an attitude that whatever that comes to you is your own, and you are contented with what you have, you will not be corrupt.
At the ICPC head office, the acting chairman, Gad Nathan Beko, noted that the day is coming at a time when the public service needs to cleanse itself in order to achieve its objective of transparency and accountability.
We in the ICPC assure Mr. President of our commitment in our effort to strengthen public institutions through one of our mandates, which is the systems study and review of corruption-prone procedures in ministries, departments, and agencies.
Through your contributions to the fight against corruption, the attitude, perceptions of Nigerians are changing gradually, and the country is getting better for it.
The Public Service Day started about a century ago as municipal services developed across the world. In Abuja, Ifani Izumba, NTA News.
Uche Mwizu is next with stories making the rounds on the global scene.
A warm welcome. The 31st Ordinary Summit of the African Union has commenced in Mauritania. The meeting with the theme, Winning the Fight Against Corruption, a Sustainable Path to Africa's Transformation, has 40 African heads of states in attendance. They will discuss crisis on the continent. Madagascans will head to the poll for the first round of presidential elections on November 7, while the second round of the election, if needed, is slated for December 19. The country's Prime Minister Christian Nse's announcement on Friday ends speculations about the date for the election, which is expected to calm political tension in the country. On a cheery note, the Democratic Republic of Congo moved closer to declaring its Ebola outbreak over, with the completion of surveillance of the last persons who came in contact with patients and had not confirmed any new cases. The Health Ministry said if no further cases of the disease are confirmed after one more 3-week incubation period, Congo will officially declare an end to the Ebola outbreak. Finally, European Union leaders agreed after marathon talks at a summit in Brussels that secure centers for migrants may be set up by EU states on a voluntary basis, and that migrants whose claims were rejected would be returned. In other related news, Libyan Coast Guard officials say about 100 people were feared to have drowned off the Libyan coast, with 14 rescued. That's it from here. Thanks for staying tuned. I am Uche Mwizu.
Second Armed Forces Half Marathon set for Abuja Saturday as 5th Asaf Zadok Scrabble Championship begins in Abuja. Sports update.